Hi amazing human beings out there. Today I bring a special episode. And we're gonna start analyzing this little fella is a hedgehog, or in Spanish erizo. This other fella and this other fella. What qualities do they have? How would you describe them? What descriptions come to your mind if you would like to compare them? The topic of today is called Comparatives and Superlatives. And for comparing the qualities of things, places, animals, people, etc., we use adjectives. Now let's see this. On the left we have Kevin Hart, on the right we have Dwayne Johnson. There's a remarkable difference in height over there, because Dwayne Johnson is taller than Kevin Hart. Now here is Dwayne Johnson. This guy over here is the same over here, right, when he was younger. And here we have Shaquille O'Neal. So there is also a remarkable difference there. And here we have Shaquille O'Neal, which is this guy, Shaquille O'Neal, next to Yao Ming. He's a former basketball player. So as you can notice, there is always a bigger fish in the sea. And here, if I would like to compare this guy against the other ones, I would have to use a superlative, and I would say he is the shortest of the four, and I would say Yao Ming is the tallest of the four. That would be a superlative. When I compare two, I use comparatives. He's shorter than him. The same here, the same here. When I compare this one on top of the rest in that quality that I'm comparing, that would be small. Or using the other quality, tall, I put this on top, and that would be a superlative. Now there are four types of adjectives in English. You will find a longer list of adjectives in the description of this video, and they are divided into these four categories. The first category is short adjectives. Short adjectives are all the adjectives that only have one syllable. Remember that adjectives are descriptions or qualities of nouns. Here we have examples: big, small, hot, cold, fast. So by definition, an adjective is short if it has one syllable, and by definition, if an adjective has two syllables or more, then it is considered a long adjective. But here we have an exception, and it is for only adjectives that fulfill these two criteria. First, they have two syllables. Second, they end in a consonant plus the letter Y. If an adjective has two syllables and ends in a consonant plus Y, it is considered a short adjective, only if it fulfills these two conditions. Now, long adjectives, more than one syllable. Here, there are some examples. And then we have irregular adjectives. So irregular adjectives are called like that because for making comparisons, there is an irregular change. There is no rule here for the change. Good becomes better, better becomes the best. And here we have the comparative form, which is in parentheses. For long adjectives, there is an extra word, as you can notice here. We combine them, but for short adjectives, this is what happens. And for irregular adjectives, we look at the second form over here. And here is an important note. If a one-syllable adjective ends in this pattern, consonant, vowel, consonant, then we double the last consonant before adding ER or EST. An example of this is hot. Hot is a one-syllable adjective, and it ends in consonant, vowel, consonant. So before we add the ER, we need to double the last consonant. This is important not only for making comparisons, but also for creating superlative sentences. And this also happens with big because it is a short adjective. It has only one syllable and it ends in this pattern, consonant, vowel, consonant. That's why when we add ER, we double the last consonant. That happens only for short adjectives that end in this pattern. Here we have the superlative form in parentheses. All right, you can stop the video to check it out. Is there a formula to make comparisons using adjectives? You can also stop the video here analyze these comparisons. These 5 sentences have something in common, and these 4 sentences have something in common too. What is it? Let's find out. Alright, so in these 5 sentences, we are using short adjectives. And in these 4 sentences, we are using long adjectives. Notice what we use in common for these 5 sentences, and notice what we use in these 4 sentences. What is in yellow is what's common, what we use for making comparisons with these types of adjectives. Remember why I show you these 4 categories of adjectives, because we use them differently for making comparisons and for creating superlatives. Yes, there is a formula, and here I show it to you in yellow. For making comparative statements, we need to compare 2 individuals or things also. That's the most important thing. We compare 2 of something, 2 individuals or 2 groups of individuals. Then the verb to be, then a short adjective. Remember, we need to modify that short adjective by adding er. Then the word than, we cannot omit this part. And then the second thing or things that we are comparing with the first one. Let's see some examples here taken from the previous slide. Bogota is larger than Cali. Tunja is colder than Pasto. Kevin Hart and I are shorter than Dwayne Johnson. Kevin Hart is happier than other actors. Notice what happens here. Remember that happy ends in Y, and happy has 2 syllables. That's why we change letter Y by IER, and then we have happier. This, remember, is an exception. That's why it belongs in the short adjectives category. Notice also that the verb to be is not only is. It could be are, and it can also be was or were if we're talking in past. The verb to be has different conjugations, and that's something you need to bear in mind. Teenage Ninja Turtles was shorter than the Avengers. As you can notice here, we're comparing 2 movies, right? 2 things. One person with other actors. Kevin Hart and I with Dwayne Johnson. Right here we have something plural too. What happens with long adjectives? Here is the formula. We are still comparing one thing or things with another thing or things. We are using the verb to be. In here we have a difference. We are using the word more. When we use short adjectives, we don't use more. That is a big mistake a lot of people make. We're gonna check the mistakes at the end of this presentation, but it is a mistake that people make all the time. More is only combined with long adjectives. Remember, a long adjective is an adjective that has more than 1 syllable and that does not end in consonant and Y when it has 2 syllables. Okay? Then we have the word than, and then we have the other thing or things. Some examples are: tamales are more delicious than burgers. Coffee's aroma is more delightful than teas. Cartagena's architecture is more historic than my town's. Vegetables are more nutritious than junk food. Einstein was more intelligent than other scientists. Remember, the verb to be has different conjugations, and here are some of them. What about superlatives? Remember that a superlative is when you put one individual or group of individuals on top of the other ones. They are the best, the absolute best, or they are the absolute regarding that particular quality that we're talking about. For example, in this case, this guy is the absolute, is the top when we compare him to the rest of the people in this group. Okay, we put this individual on top. That's the characteristic of superlatives. In the previous one, we compared 2 people to things, to individuals. One is a little more than the other one, and vice versa. We're not putting any one of them on top of the rest in a category. Okay? That's the biggest difference between superlatives and comparatives. Here is a text where we are using superlatives. I'm not gonna read it, just check it out. It is about my country, Colombia. You can stop the video here to try to find different superlatives. There are quite a few. Let's check them out. In yellow, we have the superlatives. The most breathtaking natural wonder in Colombia. We're putting Chocó and the Amazon's rainforest on top of the other rainforest. The highest level of biodiversity. Now, is there a secret formula for using superlatives? Yes, there is. And it depends on the type of adjective. Remember, there are 4 types. You can go back to check it out. And you can also download the list of adjectives divided into the 4 categories from the description of this video. So here is the formula. We have one thing or things, the verb to be, the definite article the. Remember, we cannot omit this article for making superlatives. Then the short adjective. In this case, the suffix is not er, it is est, very important. We put this thing or things on top of the rest of things or individuals in a group or category. It's not like we are comparing in equal positions, we're saying this is the top. Let's check some examples. Chocó is the rainiest place on the planet. The Amazon's rivers are the mightiest in the world. Colombians are the friendliest people in the Americas. Yao Ming was the tallest player in his team. Remember, when we have a short adjective that ends in consonant plus y and it has 2 syllables, then we change the letter y by iest. What happens for long adjectives? We still keep the word the, but here when we have a long adjective, we add an extra word and it's the word most. For comparatives, that word was more, if you remember. Then we leave the adjective as such. We don't add any suffix to this adjective whatsoever. And then the rest in a group or category. Remember that this group or category is not necessary to mention all the time. For example, Colombian coffee is the most satisfying. Here maybe the text or the context already tells me what is that category or group, so it's not necessary to mention it. San Agustin is the most mysterious cultural treasure in Colombia. Colombia is the most welcoming place to visitors. Most common mistakes when using comparatives. So these are the most common mistakes when using comparatives, not superlatives, comparatives. It means 2 individuals in equal positions. We're not putting anyone on top of the rest in that category, but we're comparing just 2. One is slightly more than the other one. First mistake, using the word more with short adjectives. Cali is more hotter than Bogota. This is a redundancy. When we add the suffix er, we can imagine that this more is abbreviated in this er suffix. So that would be a redundancy using the 2 of them with a short adjective. The correct way would be Cali is hotter than Bogota. Adding the suffix er to long adjectives, it is a big mistake too. We cannot say the lion is more dangerous than a dog. This is a big mistake. The lion is more dangerous than a dog. That is the correct way. Omitting the word more when using long adjectives. For example, my house is beautiful than yours. Of course, this is a mistake. My house is more beautiful than yours. Omitting the word than. We cannot omit than for making comparatives. Dwayne Johnson is taller Kevin Hart. This is a mistake. Dwayne Johnson is taller than Kevin Hart. This is the correct way to say it. Most common mistakes with using superlatives. Now, for superlatives, what are the most common mistakes? Okay, using the word most with short adjectives. This is similar to the previous one. Barranquilla is the hottest city. This is the correct way to say it. Adding the suffix er instead of est. Remember, er is for comparisons and est is for superlatives. So, this is the bigger cake in the bakery. This is a big mistake. The biggest. This is the biggest cake in the bakery. We are putting one cake on top of the rest of cakes in that bakery. Omitting the word the. Remember, when we're expressing using superlatives, we need to use the definite article the. I am the best player in the team. The mistake would be I am best player in the team. There is something missing. I am the best player in the team. This is the correct way to say it. Omitting the word most with long adjectives. Example, Einstein was the intelligent scientist of his time. This is a mistake. correct way, Einstein was the most intelligent scientist of his time. Let's recap. Comparative adjectives are used when we compare a quality or characteristic of one individual or sometimes more with the same quality or characteristic of another individual or sometimes more. They follow a formula depending on the type of adjective used. If you want to remember, you can go back in the video and check that formula out. Superlative adjectives are used when we emphasize a quality or characteristic of one individual or sometimes more on the top for being the most salient characteristic or quality in a category or group. And that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Guys, if you still have questions, if you still have doubts, don't forget to go back in the video, stop it in certain parts, analyze the texts. Remember that you will find all these materials in the description of this video. If you found value in this video, please give it a like. Consider sharing it with someone you know is needing it. And as always, thank you very much. I'm out.